Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 1st of September, it's almost 3 o'clock daytime. I'm Levan Gudadze and you are on my channel in which I try to provide you with the latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets. Before we begin, and let me tell you that we do have some very interesting news today. Very interesting developments are happening. But before I start, I will ask you once again to subscribe on my channel uh, and help me to reach more bigger audience so that channel will grow and I will have more stimul to do these videos and to do it in more and more professional manner, you know, to grow with channel, because even though I have a journalistic past, I never work on TV, so this stuff to work with a camera, I mean, this is new for me, so I'm learning, let me say that way. So please, if you can, subscribe on my channel, leave some commentary. I love to be involved in exchange of opinions, and if you like content that you see, please push that like button too. So now let's start with the news, because today we really have some crucial, unbelievable developments. First of all, I will say to you that first news that I like to talk about is that today forces that are loyal to Zelensky's regime attempt to capture Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. So what happened is that by new update from Russian Defense Ministry, around 6 o'clock, some 60 soldiers from Ukrainian special forces on 7 fast boats approach area of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and landed somewhere around 3 kilometers from nuclear power plant. This unit was, Russian side did see movement of this unit, but what happened is that after this unit has landed, it seems like Russian side did give them some time so that second wave will start its movement. And that's exactly what happened. After some time of landing of this first wave of some 60 special forces soldiers, Zelensky's regime sent towards Zaporozhye nuclear power plant second wave with 2 barges that were full of tactical units. That was let me translate that. Tactical amphibious forces. So once Russian side did see that 2 barges are moving towards with this second wave of marine assault, amphibious assault group were somewhere in middle of the Dnieper River, if I'm reading picture correctly. They did start attacking both groups. So two barges were sink with personnel and special forces units that were already on the land. They were attacked from land, from air, from sea, and they were destroyed too. Let me show you some maps about this. So, just a sec. So let me show you some maps. So here we have approximate map of territory that these actions were taking place. So in this place, first wave did landed with some 60 special forces soldiers, and second wave was somewhere around here, and that's the Dnieper River, as I understand. So once Russian side did so that these two barges with tactical amphibious forces were moving towards the land, they did attack and sink both barges. And then they open fire on these units too, here, on special forces units that were already on the land. And as I understand, these units were destroyed. One of the small groups seems like they almost reach perimeter of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, but they were pinned down and destroyed. Russian Defense Ministry, from officials from Russian side and from Energodar, that's a city that are in close proximity from the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Officials saying that three soldiers of these special forces units that were landed around here are captured. Two of them are in very hard condition. They are probably injured heavily, and they are giving them some medical assistance. So, and one was captured unharmed, it seems. So in this operation, I did read some information from different experts. I did read different Telegram channels, and analyzing all that information, I can say that on this operation alone, today Zelensky's regime lost something around 300 soldiers, 300 military personnel. Somewhere around 200 personnel we can count on these two barges that were sink, and maybe even more, and these 60 soldiers from special forces that were allowed to land near Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. They were destroyed too. So only on this single occasion, Zelensky's regime did lost somewhere around 250 to 300 soldiers, and that's quite a big number, especially when it comes to special forces, because it does take, as I understand it, that takes years to train soldiers of the special forces, and to lose tens of them in single fight. That's of course, big big loss for Zelensky's regime. Anyhow, man, there is many different opinions about this operation, and I will give you my opinion about it. And you may agree or disagree, but that's what my opinion is. I do believe that this operation were orchestrated, if I may say it that way, by British secret services, MI6 most likely, and there are some some informations on different Telegram channels that this unit, these special forces units, were just recently returned to Ukraine from Britain, where they were when they had some training with SAS, British SAS soldiers. So I cannot say this is 100% correct or not, but that's what some Telegram channels are talking about. But anyhow, I'm quite sure that this operation were orchestrated by London and by British secret services. I will not be surprised if even today or tomorrow, once Russians will establish full control on this territory, it's already under full control, but as I understand, for this moment, few soldiers from these special forces, they still are they are blocked in some residential areas close to Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and they are still trying to flee this area to go back to banks of the Dnieper River, but it's hardly possible that they will succeed. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, what I want to say is that I will not be surprised if even today or tomorrow, Russian side will give us information that in this operation were directly involved on the land, some British special forces soldiers, let's say from SAS, and they may even provide some proof that that's the case. Anyhow, this is what took place in this morning, and as you know, I guess today experts from International Atomic Energy were planning to visit Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and for this time they are already there. So as I understand, organizers of this attack on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant in London and in Kiev, as I understand, they were trying to capture this power plant before experts arrived, and then let experts in, and that way secure, and that way make sure that Russia will, that way just leave under their control this power plant, because they were probably thinking that Russian side will don't attack them if International Atomic Energy's experts will be there on that plant, like hostages. You can say, you can say anyhow you want, but basically that's how it seems. They will, of course, did not say that these guys are hostages, but probably they were thinking that Russians will don't take actions if they manage to capture nuclear power plant before experts will arrive on this territory and then let them in, today or tomorrow. But I do believe that Russian intelligence services did manage to gain information about this assault, and they just, you know, they executed operation against these Zelensky's forces in very professional manner, if I may say that way. So let them unleash their forces, and then, because I mean, if my guess is right, if my guess is correct, before Russian side knew what will happen, you know, they just did some local scale counteroffensive and destroyed these forces. Anyhow, I'm quite sure that British secret services were directly involved in organizing this assault on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. So that's news that we had this morning. I mean, it's quite a significant development, really, because when I first read this information, I was thinking, what the hell, man, what is going on? Because this seems like, as a plan on paper, this plan did look like a good idea, but in situation where Russian side has some good resources of surveillance and intelligence gathering. I mean, how they did think that all this operation will be planned and executed without Russian knowing about this. I mean, that part seems definitely crazy, man. So it is what it is, man. Some devastating result for Zelensky's regime. But what you can do, man. Like few weeks ago, Boris Johnson went to Kiev. Probably he did give some orders to Zelensky, so he would start some activities. He will order army to start some activities on different directions, and that's what exactly happened. So-called Kherson offensive, now failed attempt to capture Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and today Russian Defense Ministry did said that Zelensky's regime forces that are loyal to Zelensky did try to do some counteroffensive on the Kharkov direction too, and in that operation, Zelensky's regime lost more than 50 soldiers, and somewhere around 10 or even more military equipment. I mean, armored military equipment. I will give you more definite information just in a few minutes. So yes, man, when it comes to this operation around the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, I mean, it seems like it was a big failure from British secret services and Zelensky's regime. So now let's talk. About this so-called Kherson offensive. I will give you latest information about that. So, just a second. I will change this like that, if it's okay. So, so yeah, I will give you some information about this Kherson offensive. And today, Russian Defense Ministry did give give a public update on situation on Nikolaev and Kryvyi Rog direction, and they said that for last 24 hours in Nikolaev Kryvyi Rog direction, Zelensky's regime did lost 31 tanks, 22 armored personal carriers, 18 other armored vehicles, 8 jeeps with machine guns, 17 some other special motorized vehicles, and more than 350 soldiers. So just think about it, man. For last 24 hours, this is a news update from yesterday's. This is information that about what happened after yesterday's update from Russian Defense Ministry. So in last 24 hours, if this information is correct, and to be honest, I do believe that Russian Defense Ministry does give us society information, more correct information that Zelensky's regime does, or Western regimes, or Western propaganda outlets. So just listen to this, man. 31 tanks, 22 armored personal carriers, 18 some other armored carriers, 8 jeeps with machine guns. All right, that's kind of easily replaceable stuff, and 17 units of some special motorized vehicles, and the 350 KAAs. If it's 350 KAA, that means that, if you multiply that on a 2 or 3, that's what usually, that's how statistics about losses of one side are calculated. Then you can say that in last 24 hours, only on Nikolaev Kryvyi Rog direction, Zelensky's regime lost up to 1,000 soldiers by killed in action and wounded. So that's crucial, man. That's crucial losses. And if we combine all these numbers, all this data that we have from Kherson and about so-called Kherson counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime, we can say that only in last 3 days, man, Zelensky's regime lost more than 2,000 soldiers, KIA. So more than 2,000 soldiers were killed. Somewhere around at least 5,000 soldiers were wounded. Around 100 tanks were destroyed. More than 100 infantry armored vehicles were destroyed. If I remember correctly, 3 helicopters were shot down. 4 jets were shot down. and so on, man. I mean, that's a crucial defeat, man, for Zelensky's regime, and that's we're talking about just for 3 days, last 3 days, man. You know, in last 3 days, uh, only in so-called Kherson counteroffensive, only in that operation, Zelensky's regime lost somewhere around 7,000 soldiers killed and wounded. Around 2,000 killed, around 5,000, 5 to 6,000 wounded, and hundreds and hundreds of units of armored vehicles, tanks, uh, personal carriers, and so on. So that's devastating results for Zelensky's regime. But yet again, I mean, it seems like not Zelensky, not anyone else in his regime do care about soldiers or their lives, man, because they are sending these troops to die. Even knew that. I mean, Zelensky is some stupid fucking clown, man. That's what he was always. But at least generals in high command of Ukrainian or Zelensky's forces should know better, and probably they know better, and they knew that they are sending soldiers to die, ordering them to do this so-called counteroffensive. But it seems like they just don't care, man. They just don't care, you know. So it is what it is, man. Some devastating results for Zelensky's regime in last few days, and I do believe that next, let's say, 4 to 5 days, uh, forces that are loyal to Zelensky may be sent again to do some counteroffensives there, in different directions. But eventually, as I was saying, for entirety of this conflict, I mean, they will eventually achieve nothing. They will achieve nothing, and that's why I'm saying that best, if Zelensky was some decent human being, and best he can do for his people is to give orders to lay down arms and start peaceful negotiations. But Zelensky is a puppet of Washington and London, so he will do whatever he is told by his masters in Western capitals. It is what it is. So, yeah, man. Now let's check some other information, because there are many interesting informations. So it should be interesting for you too, or maybe interesting for you too. So let's start with TASS news agency. That's biggest Russian news agency. Here we have information that, as I said already, despite these military activities in the morning today, experts from International Atomic Energy already are on territory of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. So this should mean that at least until IAEA experts are there, Zelensky's regime will stop shelling this nuclear power plant. I can be wrong, man, because they are fucking crazy bastards, man. I mean Zelensky and his henchmen, and they may order units that are loyal to them to shell this nuclear power plant even now, when experts of IAEA are there. But who knows, man? Who knows? I hope until these experts are there, shelling will stop, and that will mean that danger of nuclear disaster will be minimized. So that's interesting information, news of the day, one of the newses of the day, probably. So what else, man? I want this video to be short as much as possible, so I will give you a quick summary. Oh, here we have information about Lukashenko, Belarusian president, and he did made a statement in which he said that in Ukraine, it seems like in the near future there will be a conflict between Zelensky and military leadership of forces that are still loyal to Zelensky for this moment. I did talk about this possibility. I was thinking that and not just me. I mean, this idea is flying in air, if I may say that way. I mean, many political commentators did talk about this stuff. But one thing is when some YouTubers and political commentators are talking about this. But different is when president of the state is saying this stuff, because president do have classified information that we don't. Not me, not any other commentator on YouTube. So that's why this information probably is interesting, because I mean it seems logical, man. It seems logical that at certain point some officers in Ukraine will start to act against Zelensky openly, because they are seeing that Ukrainian army was decimated. They see that Ukrainian military was decimated, and for what? For Western interests, So of course there will be some officers in forces that are still for now loyal to Zelensky. There should be officers, even generals, that are thinking to move Zelensky from power, to remove Zelensky from power, and that may happen, and that may happen, man. Who knows? So I did saw this information. I mean, French President Macron did said that many countries in the world did not had the same position as Western states, and that's true. I mean, world is much bigger place than EU or USA, and most of the world is. I'm not gonna say that most of the world is supporting Russia, but they are not against Russia, and that means something, you know. That means a lot, Hassan, in reality, you know. So yeah, let's see some other news, man. That's RIA Novosti. RIA Novosti, that's the second largest news agency in Russia. So here we have like news that some officials in Zaporozhye saying that British Secret Services were organizing this morning's assault from Zelensky's regime on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. It's logical to think this way, but when officials do talk about this stuff, it should be provided with some evidence, because otherwise it's just, you can do some analytics if you want, but when you are official, I mean, it will be better if you then prove it in with hardcore evidence, man, with bulletproof evidence, you know. So what else, man? What else are making headlines? In Russian media outlets, this morning's attack on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant is main news, and it's absolutely understandable. But here on a Kommersant site, Kommersant is a quite popular Russian magazine or Russian newspaper. So here we have information that Russia is planning to buy currencies of the friendly nations in volume of some $70 billion dollars. So, and that way, and this information based on analytics from Bloomberg. So here we can read that in this way, Russian government, economical bloc of Russian government is trying to somehow slow down Russian ruble, Russian currency, somehow slow down, because as I was saying before in previous videos, in financial bloc of Russian government, there are people who are openly saying that for openly saying that they see Russian currency. They are saying that for Russian economy, it's going to be good if Russian currency will be something like $70 to $80 ruble for $1. And I don't believe this. I don't buy this bullshit, man. But these so-called experts that are running Russian financial and economical bloc in government, they are, they are representatives. Let me say this way, of the oligarchs. They are entangled. And oligarchs, of course, they want Russian currency to be let me translate. To be weaker, it's to be weaker, because that way Russian exports will be more profitable for them. For these oligarchs. And that way, if Russian ruble is weaker, then of course these government officials, they always can say that, everything is fine, because look at how many rubles we have, man. They can, just simple example, man. If $1 is 50 rubles, if government exchanges, let's say, billion uh, foreign currency, any foreign currency, let's say euro, billion euro, then they will receive certain amount of rubles. If it's one euro is 50 ruble, but if 1 euro is 100 ruble, then after exchange, they will receive twice bigger amount of rubles, and that way they can fill up budget, federal budget and local budgets, and they will make some illusion that what, everything is fine. And I do believe that this is cheating, and these bastards that are running Russian economy should be in jail, man. That's my honest opinion. And I never respect those bitches, man, and I will never respect those animals. I'm surprised that Putin is keeping these idiots around in government for this long, man. It's just crazy. It's just crazy, man. In my understanding, Russian ruble should be much stronger than it is now. Now, official exchange rate is like 60 rubles for $1, for $1. In my understanding, objective exchange rate should be at least 30 to 35 rubles for $1. If and it's achievable, it's absolutely achievable if all Russian exports, or at least most of the Russian exports, will be in rubles, will be sold in rubles, man. Ruble may go even stronger in that case. And if it happens, man, it will dramatically, man, it will extremely, it will improve quality of life in Russia, man. It will, because, one more example, man. If you have, let's say, 50,000 rubles now, wage, basically you are having something around $700 to $800, but a month. But if exchange rate is like 30 to 35 rubles for $1, then if you have some 50,000 rubles, for example, your wage is something around $1,200-1,300. It's a huge difference, man. Huge difference, right? And deflation, there will be deflation in that case, and prices will come down, and that will definitely will have a big impact on quality of life of the people, man. But these oligarchs, man, these motherfucking oligarchs, man, and these officials that are corrupt and entangled with these fucking oligarchs, they don't want this, man. They don't care about people, man. They never did, and this is case in every country, man. You should not be surprised, but because this is the case in every country in this world, man. Maybe it's some country somewhere that things are run differently, but tell me where that country is, man. So I'm sorry that I was a little bit emotional, but I do have some hard feelings towards officials, man. Particularly officials that are corrupt, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. So it is what it is, man. So let me finish this video now, because it's already 44 minutes, man. It's too long, man. So I hope you did watch this video entirely. But anyhow, before I before I say goodbye to you, let me ask you once again, please, if you find my channel interesting, or if you see that this channel may have some potential, to grow. Please consider to subscribe on my channel and share this video. Leave a commentary. I would love to exchange opinions, uh, and push that like button. I mean, yet again, if it's, you know, if you can, if you can. Anyhow, thank you for your time. Uh, have a nice day, and see you tomorrow. Take care.